You do not text new clients. You call them or you go meet them. We can go see his houses or we can hop on a phone call. And he goes, we can hop on a phone call. And he goes, cool, I'll cancel the appointment.
Ouch.
When people think that your commission comes above their relationship.
Asking the correct questions. Now, if she would have done what some agents do or some people that don't know, she could have lost me.
A, staying at the highest level of communication with the person that you're intending to communicate with. And then B, where they're at.
You don't have the tools to get through that brick wall.
I've come with empathy. I've come with value.
Are you getting the solution that you desire?
No.
When you talk, what they hear is selling.
I have SC partners.
You do.
Now, we make fun of each other every day.
That's right. But you talk to them a certain way and you come at them as they are smart and they bring something else to the table. Start bringing that same thought process.
Oh, this is bullshit.
You'll have a different outcome.
All right, welcome to Let's Go Podcast, the podcast where we want you to come along with us on our entrepreneurial journey to health, wealth, and hopefully growing a legacy.
Yeah.
Not hopefully. We are. 100% we are. All right. Olivia, how was your week? How did it go?
It was a very good week. I had an opportunity on Friday. I met with a client of mine and it was such a great conversation. And we talked about, everything from the hiring process to going out into like, what do you want at the end of your life? Okay, let's fold that back into what is it? What does that mean that you need to be in 10 years? Where does that mean you need to be in 5 years? So that we can go, okay, is the thing we're doing today, are we on pace to get there?
Yeah.
Because so often I think if we're not careful, we do the thing. And sometimes we can kind of feel like we are aimless or we're just doing it because we're supposed to do it. We're not attaching it to anything.
Right.
So that was a great conversation. I really enjoyed that. And I think the client got a lot out of it. And then we're going to there's a process that I'm going to walk him through the next time we meet in person. And that was kind of my biggie. And then
so you walked him through the goal setting process. Where do you want to be? Let's rewind that. What do we have to do to get there?
Right. Well, and the interesting thing is so often we don't really know, like we know where we want to be, but it's hard to articulate it. And so in this process, I'll take somebody all the way to, I want you to, close your eyes and not because we're doing, we're not, nothing like that. And just go like, center yourself where you are. And then, okay, I want you to think about, you wake up, you open your eyes, you're retirement age, I want you to go all the way out to like your nanny, who's around you? Mm-hmm. Where are you at? Are you in the mountains? Are you on the beach? Are you, on the river? And, that way you kind of, and even that question, who's around you? Are, friends, family, grandkids, right? Like those things, because sometimes we don't, especially many of us, myself included, I tend to think now, oh, let's do that. No. And this kind of helps you see your whole world versus just now or just business, because let's say you have a great business life and you have completely alienated everybody you love. Mm-hmm. That's not probably what you want, and vice versa. Let's say
I've done that.
Yeah. And so it's really kind of getting like, okay, these are the important things. And so it's a different way of helping you get there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great model. Yeah. Anything else going on?
So we talked a little bit about my what did you call it? My labor of love, where I kind of my dog cookies.
Yeah.
So I'm also now doing human cookies, right? My niece had a birthday and I said, I'm going to bring her, cookies or, what's in it was some bunny is one was her.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And so I brought the sugar cookies and everything there, and they're all decorated up and kind of like Easter themed. And,
yeah.
And two people like, who brought these? And they came up and they're like, hey, can you do like, so I've got something for teacher appreciation and the other one I can't remember.
God.
And I was like,
Confections by Olivia.
That's right. I was like, yeah. And I'm thinking that's so funny. And then,
so we started a bakery.
And, I was going somewhere with the cookies.
You baked cookies, you baked cookies. Again, I'll be commanded to make more cookies.
Yeah. Anyway, so it was just interesting and it's kind of fun. And it's, that was not that was where I was going. So my cousin was like, when did you learn how to do this? She's like, I didn't even know you could draw a straight line. And I was like, YouTube. Get out there, everything can be found on YouTube.
Literally.
But yeah. Like even as to like how to decorate and how to like do this. And so it's been fun. So that's kind of yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So what about you? Tell me about your week.
Oh man, it's been a crazy week. Had one of the highest highs I've had in a while in business. Just everything went well this week. And then Thursday a bomb got dropped on me. So that wasn't cool. Kind of ruined my day. And just like everything else, like nobody's life is perfect, mine included. And so I called my board of directors. We had conversations, and we're gonna make some changes, and it'll all be fine. But overall, I mean, the busy season is hitting for real estate, for snow cones, for roofing, for all the companies that we own. And so this is it's an exciting time. The next 6, 7, 8 months, it's a time to get to work and grind and set back food for the winter, basically.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. And we launched our Florida expansion last week.
Yeah.
That's exciting. 5 listings up, 1 pending, writing an offer today. I just saw a text message from a lady in the call center, one of our agents, and they're discussing making an over $1 million offer on a condo. And so that's super exciting.
Yeah.
It's funny how much money there is when you open your eyes to other geographic locations. And don't get me wrong, I love Northeast Louisiana. I'm so thankful for the businesses that we have here and the success we've had here. But there something just hits a little harder when the prices go up.
Mhm.
And I had for years, and you have too. We've gone to all these, not awards banquets, but seminars and big coaching sessions where tens of thousands of people are there, and you hear them and how much money they're making and all the staff they're able to hire and all the value add they're able to give their clients. I'm like, man, how do you do that? And they show how many houses they sell. I was like, I sell 4 times more houses than you do. Like, I am quite literally working 4 times harder and making half the money.
Yeah, or
And
more quarter, because if you're because that would be the interesting thing is as like we would look at, okay, our average, commission here, let's say, $5,000 or something, and that's before everything's taken out and
yes,
and
full
all that
worker slips, expenses and fees and all that
and
stuff.
all that. And then you hear from somebody and they're doing all these things, you're like, how can you afford that? And then their commission, it's not 15 or 20,000, it's 75,000. You're like, oh, that makes so much more sense.
That much offer written today, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen and the way we train it to happen. It will quite literally be a $30,000+ commission. Now that's gross. So for those of you thinking like that's the money, no, we don't. Like there's
There's
$30,000 a month
there's
in marketing fees. There's admin to pay. There's taxes. There's expenses involved in that cost of sale. And
it's
over here, I tell people, like somebody had called me one day and they're like, I think I paid you too much. And I was like, okay, tell me about it. And they went, I mean, we paid you X and we just don't think that's fair. And I said, okay. I said, guys, let me open up your file real quick. And I crunched the numbers and said, I'm willing to give you back all my profit if that would make you happy. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, how much do we get back? I said, $400.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're making $400. That's all I'm making. All the time I've spent with you guys, after I pay everybody out, after everybody gets their splits, after the call center gets their split, if the agent gets their split, after the marketing team gets their split, after the transaction coordinators get their split, I make $400. And I'm happy if you feel like our services are not worth that, I am happy to cut you back a check.
Yeah.
And they went, we don't want your money anymore, because I think they felt bad. Like they thought I was going to make like 5 G's.
That's right.
That's not how it works.
Yeah.
We run a different model. Everybody gets paid in the transaction with us. And so, I mean, but that's also the reason that when you're in our organization, like if you're working, you're eating.
That's right. Well, you're working, you're eating, and that's why houses sell quickly, because you're running a system that, they can sell quickly for top dollar because you have these pieces where
we got 10 people working on your file, not one, right? One agent cannot effectively do the job of a real estate agent. I stand by that statement. People can argue with me and say, oh, well, I do it. You do not do it effectively. I promise you don't.
Yeah.
I have a solo agent calling for a brokerage, and I really wish I had your leverage right now. I said, well, I mean, you're welcome to call me. So I won't pay the splits. I said, well, you can do it by yourself then.
That's right.
And I love you. And, we're still friends.
That's what either way. And it's one of those, everybody's business model is different, but either way, you're paying in the realtor split, because if you're the owner, you're paying splits out and you get this percentage. If you you just have different hats on. If you're you have people with different hats on. If you are the single agent, guess what? You might be doing those things, and you have to do those things but it's still, it's and then you still have to spend money on marketing and advertising and things like that. So it's the same.
And the cost, like the programs and the subscriptions we pay for, they're based on a national scale. So in Vonera, Louisiana, we're paying the same thing as agents in Dallas who are making, again, $10, $20, $30,000 per house they sell. Whereas over here, we're making around $5. And so like we have to sell a lot of houses to be able to keep up with latest and greatest tech. I'm actually argued with tech companies. I've got a few of them to actually come down. I was guys, I want y'all to go look at our average price point and go look at the average price point in the same place that you're giving me the same price that you gave somebody in Tampa, Florida, or Dallas, Texas, and go look at our average commissions and go look at all that. I can't afford your service.
Yeah.
And so they'll make a phone call and they'll call we realize that we may have made a pricing error. We'll give it to you. Homes.com is actually really good.
Great. That's something that's a top pricing error. Just this is completely unrelated. But I met with a client and I had to go back and clean this up with them because I met with them, got a gist of everything they're looking to do. And this is why you shouldn't be in a hurry. And so I met with them on a Friday and I was like, well, and I usually say, and I'll get this to you by Monday. But I was dumb. And I said, oh yeah, I'll get this to you this evening. Well, then my computer had an error that, it's just this whole, if it could not line up correctly, it didn't line up correctly. So I send them an email and it had a breakdown of everything we talked about and the cost and everything. And then it was Thursday that I realized, oh no, what I bid them or told them that it was going to cost, it was twice the amount. And so I was like, please completely ignore that email. And because
it's too late for you to resend the email.
And this was I'm sure, it's very possible that they, I imagine if I'd have got that email, I'd have been like, she lost her mind. But it was
still be a little sticker shock on double the price.
And
I'm so sorry I messed up.
Well, and then I feel and this is where, I feel like they probably, it's very easy, I would imagine, and that they could have felt like, oh yeah, she's just saying that because we haven't signed up. No, even if you would have signed up, I would have had this conversation. You'd go, woohoo, you just paid for 2 months, because it was so and I do have people on that program, and that's what I'll anyways in my mind when I'm doing the email, but it's because I'm coaching them and their main operations person and doing XYZ. Well, this person didn't need that. And you said pricing error, and I went, yeah, I'm on that. So this week, still cleaning up because, so it happens sometimes.
It does. It's a human business, right?
Yeah.
I know we're all going to mess up. All right. So our topic for the week is, correct me if I'm wrong here. Okay. It is meeting people where they're at.
Yeah.
And for me, we actually got started on this. We use script and role play inside the real estate company every Friday. And so it's where the agents bring me all the objections. I just ask them as they lose a client or they lose in a file or they have an issue with an agent or whatever.
Yeah.
Write that down for that week.
Opportunity came up.
Yeah.
They didn't go the way that they would have liked it to go. Let's talk.
Yeah. And so I tell them to bring those situations and those issues to me. We write them down and we handle those issues in real time. And I script and role play with them. And, here's what I would have said. Here's what I do. It's not always perfect. And I've probably been there before. And you've got, so inside that room, what's funny is during script and role play, and this is honestly how I know whether people are going to win or lose with me. So we had our 4 out of our top 5 earners were in that room. Now, those people weren't the one bringing me the problems, right? But they were there to help.
With the solution.
They were there to help. Sam Nelson's really, really good about that. Chris Rux is great about it. Kelsey Abear was in the room. Amanda, unfortunately, couldn't be there. She had some family things going on this week. But she's typically in there, and that is statistically the number 1 agent in our board. And so there's a lot of knowledge and wisdom in the room and experience in the room. And so we're sitting there and going over things. And one of the clients, or one of the agents talked about they lost a client. And I said, okay, well, specifically tell me what happened. And it was just a huge miscommunication. If you guys don't know, we have the buyer's agency thing. We have to now, in order to show houses or even represent somebody, before we can do any real estate agent related activities, we must define a relationship and our pay scale. And until then, we're not hired and we can't give legal advice. And it's like a retainer for an attorney, although I'm not comparing myself to an attorney. So he texted, which I tell people you do not text new clients. You call them or you go meet them. And he texted and said, "Hey, I'd like to meet with you guys before we go see houses." And they said, and he said, "Well, we're whatever for time, right? Press for time." And he goes, "Okay, well, we can go see these houses, or we can hop on a phone call." And he goes, "We can hop on a phone call." And he goes, "Cool, I'll cancel the appointment."
Ouch. Yeah.
So
You always set the appointment,
it was,
then you reply.
it was just a mismatch of expectation,
That's right.
because the client thought that he was going, "Oh,
We're gonna home
well,
out.
I can't go see the house."
Yeah.
And the agent was really going like, "Oh, I thought that you were telling me you just wanted to hop on a quick phone call and then we could go see a house and we're going to reschedule the house." And
none of that comes through in a text message.
yeah, so lesson number one for us there was, guys, we do not have high level communication like this.
Yeah.
We had it like this. "Hi, Olivia, I'm Harrison," or like I have in my lead generation classes that I teach, one of the first slides in all of them is A, how to get your mindset right, B, how to effectively communicate with people at the highest level at all times, and the highest level of communication is human touch.
That's right.
When you're a waitress, did you know that they statistically proved that a waitress or a wait staff, I think their tip would be like 18 or 22% higher if they handed you your ticket, wrote a note on it that said, "Thank you so much," and touched your back while they hand you the check, right? Human touch or delivering positive energy to people. That energy transfer is a real thing, right? And if I don't have the opportunity to touch you, Olivia, that sounded bad. Hey, her eye. Oh, sucky now. I haven't heard that in a while. Where did that come from? I did watch Pulp Fiction last night, so I'm like feeling myself. And I did the twist. You don't remember that part of the episode, do you? Yeah, it's a great movie. All right, so the next one is, if I can't get near you, I need to talk to you in person or on the phone. And here's why. Your voice, that transfer of energy that I can give you by touching you, I can give that to you with my voice. I can empathize with you. I'm so sorry. I can get excited with you. I can slow down. And I can speed up because you and I are so excited.
And I can hear how that landed. So if in that same scenario, if I said, well, we need to meet or something, and I heard in your voice a reluctance, I can address it. I can
switch gears and go, "Hey, I tell you what, instead of wasting time, why don't me and you just go to the house and we'll just talk there?"
Yeah.
And that's what it's about, is A, staying at the highest level of communication with the person that you're intending to communicate with, and then be where they're at. You can't force them to come to you, because if you do,
you're putting too much resistance and space between the two of you. If it says us.
Yes. And that's, people want to see, especially when you're a salesperson, people know why you're there, right? Like, I am your best friend for 45 days. And afterwards, like, yeah, I'll text you every now and then. We're going to deliver you a pie. And if I see you and your kids in public, I'll buy your dinner, or I'll give you a hug or whatever. But I got to move on to the next one because you're done paying me and now I have to go get another job. And people know why I'm there. I'm a salesperson. I'm there to get a commission. When people think that your commission comes above their relationship, you're forcing something on them. They want to see that you're championing their goals and pushing their goals forward, not yours. You get to achieve your goal when they hit theirs. And so it's so important as salespeople, as business owners, as consultants. I think this applies to all of us equally. It's important that instead of trying to get someone to fit into our box, into our model, we go, what is it that's going to serve you in this relationship? And we move to you.
So, and this is what you and I, when we were talking about what we wanted to talk about.
I had an hour tag coming late.
Yeah. Well, and interesting, I think we see it the same way. To me, I feel like so much can be done in what we say and how we say it to the same result. So I do, and we're both big believers in models. So you have, now you have, I think the other thing you always have to think about it is, this is how we do it.
This is how we do it.
And there are
very musical.
Yeah. It's like, this is how we do it. I'm almost, if you think of it, this is how we do it. And if they say yes, we do this. If they say this, we do this. But it's a science. But I think so often people don't forget that it's an art. And so you're dancing, and dancing in the conversation, and that's what's so important to hear and to see, and even in the text, to make sure that you're asking the clarifying questions that. and I think that's what so often is people here do it like this. You ask for the buyer agency, you meet them in the office, you do this, and they forget that, yes, this is the thing, but where do you bring in the art? And you can only bring in the art when you practiced it enough, and you've done different scenarios, and then you are out in the field doing it as well, right? And you're seeing that, okay, they said this, how do I dance within that? Because I know, one of the things that you said was, well, it'll be great. Well, let's just meet at the house and we'll do it. And that is one way. I also think that you always have to realize too behavioral styles. So I'll use myself. Chuck, my brother, he used to sell real estate here locally. And there was another agent. Like, they were very personable, and they are very personable.
Yeah, they're charismatic for sure.
I don't think of myself that way.
You do not have the same.
I don't. No,
for sure.
Yeah, and so if I would have tried to sell real estate the way they sell real estate, and matter of fact, I attempted when I first started to do it, and I found myself like, and at a price like, oh, I can't. People,
you're giving people energy that you don't possess.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, so I think you have to know yourself now, not from a place of, well, I can't do that because no. What can I learn from them? What can I take away? And so they could have an open house, meet somebody, and that person would like connect and stay with them. They could meet somebody at the house, and that becomes their client. What I realized for myself, because we didn't have that same connection, I had to create it in such a way. So we created it through a consultation. And so I had to get really, really good at having the conversation with them on the phone that would get them either to the office or to a location or something. So I had to become a master at that. And then also because I used a showing partner, so I had to be a master at that so that I didn't lose opportunity.
Roll out.
And then hand off, right?
Yeah.
So
question, how many people, because I do disagree. And how many people did you lose by going, we do consultations here?
I don't, because I never said it that way.
Okay. So what did you say?
So I think that's the biggest piece too. It's the language that we use. So let me ask you this. If I wanted to list my house with you, what do you always do?
I set the appointment for me to come by the house.
That's right. But you set an appointment. Like, you're not going to try to sell somebody's house and not have had conversations with them and them not sign paperwork.
No, I'm not going to.
Yeah. So it's the same thing with the buyer consultation. So now, have I done a buyer consultation on the hood of a car?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I've done it at a bar, on a car, at a plane, on a train.
So I think, but a lot of it is because people use words like, we have to sign this. Oh, it's a consultation. Oh, it's a, no, have a conversation.
Yeah.
So
we should get together a process. I want you to be super informed as we're making decisions together.
And then, so let's say on the phone. So let's say that I was having a conversation. You called me about a particular house that you're interested in seeing. And I'm going to say, okay, is that the only house you're interested in? Or are there any others? And then you're going to say,
oh, this is the only one. I'm interested right now.
Okay, awesome. So did you find it online, or were you driving by?
Online. I was on the web.
Okay. And so when you say this is the only house you're interested in right now, it's because, like, if everything looks the way you think it looks, like you're ready to make an offer, or tell me a little bit about where you are in the process.
Been at her house for 2 years, just online. This is the only one I've been interested in. I need to go see this house today.
Okay, perfect. So we're definitely going to get you in there.
Okay.
So now there's a couple of questions that I need to make sure that we've got lined out so that I can get you in there today. So do you have about another 5 minutes for me?
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
Let's roll.
Okay. So now we're going to set the time that we're going to meet. Okay. So we're going to. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna meet there at 3:00. Now I'm gonna call to confirm that we have the appointment. Then I'll let you know. So we're gonna meet at 3. Harrison, do you have a house to sell, or are you purchase, or before you buy?
I'm renting, correct.
You're renting. Okay. And have you ever purchased a home before, or will this be your first?
I owned the one in a previous marriage, and then I moved on to rent.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And how long ago has that been?
It's been like 7 years.
7 years. Okay. So, Harrison, the way that the market is and how we buy and sell, a lot of things have changed since you purchased. So so what I'd love to do is get with you and make sure that we go over everything, so that if you like, hey, I want to make an offer on this house, you have everything that you need to know so that you can make that offer today that ensures that you get the house at the best possible price, best possible terms. So we're like 2 miles, my office is like 2 miles from that house. do you mind meeting me at my house and then we'll go straight from here to that? You'll meet me at my office and we'll go straight from here to there.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Perfect. So now again, could that look a different ways?
Yeah.
But if you notice, I never said, "Oh, do the consultation."
Yeah,
I gotta have a side.
I did like the way you said something. And it was, you made it about them being prepared. Because if this is the house for you, I want to make sure that we can write immediately. So I just want to go over a few things to make sure that we are ready.
Yeah.
And rather than making it about like, I need you to sign something.
That's right.
Showing you a house.
Correct. And that's the whole.
I just need to go over a few things with you so that we can make sure that you're ready if this is the right house for you.
That's right. Because in interesting things, like when we were even discussing that, because you were talking about that and you said, "Oh, well, and I was like, well, I see it a little bit different."
Yeah. And I to an extent, I'm going to say that I do, because we work very, very heavily off of internet leads.
That's what I did.
We're about 30 to 40% internet lead closings inside our companies. And so there's not a lot of a relationship. And so what I am teaching, and again, so what you guys saw there is someone who's probably set 400 buyer appointments, even though that was really good considering she hasn't done that in how many years now?
It's been a while.
Yeah. So that was pretty solid for somebody who hadn't done it.
Like back then, nobody did.
The buyer consultation and agency agreements did not. They existed, but no one did them enough. Right.
I did. But again, and I think this is where you have to know your behavioral style, because like Amanda and I were having this conversation and she may or may not even remember it. And she was talking about doing it at the house.
Well, she's a charisma realtor.
That's right. And
she has that thing that a lot of people don't possess.
That's right. And so that's where I go, you have to know, like, because if I would have done it, if I wouldn't have focused so hard on those conversations up front, I would have lost them at the house. Amanda can do that at the house. So it's one of those things that and I think this is where you have to be careful with, this is how we do it.
Yeah, there is
you absolutely have to go, like, what
set line. However, I do believe that there's an overarching belief of the level of customer service and how you go about that.
That's right. And this is the other pieces. And I would say that, now, do I think that if Amanda learned the way that I do it, I don't think her, what do you call it? I don't think her
charisma?
No, her conversion rates would actually, I think, stay the same or go up. And the only reason I say that is she would be able to have certain conversations so that she would have to spend less time throughout the piece, maybe explaining.
Her dollar per hour would go up. Oh, sure. That says instead of having a consultative relationship, she has a charisma relationship. And so I find that she doesn't go deep up front. Now she's definitely gotten better, because after 5 years of selling 70 to 90 houses a year, you start to learn who the tire kickers are and who aren't. And she still willingly and freely gives her time to everyone. I'm a little pickier. I'm gonna be like, hey, it's not time for you to go see a house.
Well, and that's, and so it's one of those things, but so I guess this is where I differ is I want to teach people to get, and this is the other thing, as I want to teach people to get the appointment, so that they know how to do it.
So you have to set appointments in order to have conversations. So if you're new and you don't have these skills, there's only one way to develop these skills. It's through having conversations and you get a little uncomfortable.
Well, you get it, absolutely. Or when things transition, because this is where I would say the difference is, because I think this is one of the reasons that we differ on this particular fee is you've done it a certain way for so long. And
charisma realtor day.
Well, and you also tend to work more sellers. And so there's a certain way you did it.
5 years ago, I worked both.
But you didn't ask for the thing up front. So you're still doing it.
My people weren't leaving me.
That's
now,
right.
every now and then I would lose one for sure.
Right.
But I mean, I have a huge sphere.
That's right.
Had good reputation.
Well, and
I was very confident. Like, you can go to another realtor. They will give you half the information I can. But I wish you the best of luck.
That's right. And so it's just a different piece. Now, for me, what I discovered, and again, this is where it look to see your strengths. But if you're coming into this, and then I would look at the end role, I knew that my end goal was going to be more that I wanted to bring them in, have the conversation, get them to agree to work with me, and then be able to introduce them to somebody who show the houses, because my energy level just doesn't do that. And then, but I am their consultant. So like whenever we would write the offers together and all of those pieces. And so I was heavily involved. For me to go out and show that many houses. And
I went out there holding the babies and bringing the juice boxes. And
and I would do it intentionally sometimes, but it would physically drain, emotionally drain me.
Yeah. It's hard to show houses. I've had to just due to sickness and some people being out of town. And I'm a team player. Like
That's right.
I don't show houses for myself, but if one of my agents needs help and I'm available, like I will go show.
Yeah.
I had to go show 2 or 3 houses the other day, and by the end of the day, I was like, "Oh, I need a drink.
Well,
Can I drink at the showing?"
Yeah. And so so I knew that I needed a certain result.
Yeah.
Well, the other piece was, I think that most salespeople are not great at having effective conversations.
100%.
And even the charisma agents that maybe they get the sale, they get the whatever. I think sometimes they get it, not in spite of them, they have to work way harder than they needed to. They had to show more houses. And I remember when the market shifted and the agents that I would work with across the country, and then talking to agents, a lot of times they'd make an offer and the person wouldn't win it, and they had to just go through it because, and I'm like, or you could be really great at demonstrating that and having the conversation so they understood all of that stuff up front. So they'd have to go through 3 rejected offers to win one.
Right.
And
yeah, I mean, you could quite literally study at that time, and that's why data was so important. But like, you could quite literally had a great conversation with your client on the offers they should make based on statistical data. Like, you could look inside neighborhoods and go, well, the average house in this neighborhood is selling in 15 days or going pending in less than 15 days, and it's going for 3% above asking. Okay, well, now we know where we need to be.
Well, and this is the thing is, and are you willing to do that? And if they're not, and then you understand their mindset, and then you can help them.
Yeah. In 2020, 2021, when the interest rates were what they were, you were not bidding for the right to buy a house. You were bidding for the right to own a house at that interest rate. That was actually the gold in that is that you can own a $400,000 house for less than a $2,000 mortgage.
Yeah.
I seriously had one. I had a $430,000 house, and my mortgage was like $1,700 a month. Meanwhile, today I have a $500,000 house. My mortgage is $500,000, and my note is $3,800 a month.
Yes. Yeah.
Insane.
That's right. Well, and whenever I hurts. That's right. Well, whenever, and I think too, like when you get into the sales and what's happening, not just in the real estate market, but in sales in general, right? That plays a big part in it because so when I got my license in 2006, 7, I don't know. Anyways, so when I got my license, I was learning from Chuck. And then, of course, we had a coach, which was huge. I think it was Jim Striegel at the time.
Yeah.
And one of the things we were heavily internet based. I did internet leads and expires. This is where I cut my teeth on. And Chuck had been in the market prior to that 08-09 collapse, and so at that point it was I used the term. It was different. Not necessarily easy because every market has its challenge, but the way you talk to people about price and things was different. So whenever the market shifted and we started having to have conversations with people about, sellers saying, hey, you're going to have to bring money to closing. With buyers that, this is what you're going to, it became a different conversation. So I stepped in the market at that time, knowing that the way that it was and the way that we talked to people before wasn't going to work.
Yeah, and so I came into business in the shifted market, and I will actually attribute my success. Now it was it Chuck? Was it you? Was it Christy? I don't remember who it was. One of you told me, it might have been Avery. Now that I think about it, but it was somebody in that circle. I said, well, they're going to lose money, and they went, so?
Well, they're going to lose money, period.
Yeah,
whether or not they have to bring a check today or they keep buying the slow walking.
But me being able to go into, okay, well, what is the reason that it is a good reason for someone to bring a check to the closing table? All right, so let me pop out an AM schedule. Let me go look at their utility bills. Let me look at their insurance. Let me look at their taxes. Let me look at deferred maintenance and needed maintenance and future maintenance on the house. Let me add in opportunity costs. Let me add in emotional damage if you're in a divorce or whatever. Like, what are all these things costing you whenever you could go get a freaking payday loan or a signature loan or refi your car and get $5,000 and cut the check? And so I have been able to look. I learned how to have those conversations early, thanks to one of you. I have no idea who I'm thanking.
I'm sure.
Thanks to all. Thanks to all. And
when we were teaching that,
it taught me the tactics, and I began going. And I was never anybody's first pick whenever I told them, like, you're going to unfortunately bring a check to the closing table. Let me roll out your financial options and how much you guys should be willing to eat. And let me financially prove to you why this is a good idea. And I was going behind some really, really good agents. This is when I wasn't even in the top 20. I was going against the top 5. And they would get the listing first because they would tell them, well, hey, well, if we can sell it at this, it'll pay my commission, it'll get you out. And that's what we'll list at. And they'd already been doing that for 6 months. They expired 6 months later. Hi, this is Harrison. This is not, and I told you so. This is
Help.
or do you guys need help? Is there something that I can do to help you? Why don't we take another look at your financials and see what we can do here? And Olivia, God's honest truth, I probably sold 30 houses in 1 year just because I was the one willing to have the conversation that bringing checks to the closing table.
And that's 100%. So I look at it with the sellers and the buyers, or any industry. You're not going to love everything that I say. And I'll tell people that you're not going to love everything that I have to say and yet you're going to know that I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah.
Because if I just wanted to get you to sign, and I would love for you to sign.
If I wanted to sign it, I would tell you what you want to hear because you'd say yes.
And my job is not just am I to get signed in the yard or not just for this to happen, but for you to say, Olivia told me everything that I needed to know. She helped me understand what was happening. And then you get to make, you, the seller, you, the client, you get to make the final decision.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be remiss if I was not completely open with you so that you had all the information to make the best decision for your family.
Yeah.
And that's my job.
Yeah.
And so the same
I'm going to educate you get to make the decisions.
That's right. And the same thing with the buyer consultation, because you will have people that are, hey, I just want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I ask questions and I find out why they, hey, just I want to do this, because look, I'm the same way. Like I literally, the last vehicle I bought,
mm-hmm.
I never took the call from my, or I'd say maybe I took one call from the salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because like I was buying a truck. I'd never bought a truck before. I'd had a large SUV and then a small SUV and then cars. And I was like, I want to buy a truck. I never bought a truck. So I called my brother, my trusted person. Now, if he'd have been a car salesman, it'd been great. So if you had been my car salesman friend, I just called somebody that knew trucks.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, what should I buy? And he goes, well, I have a Dodge Ram. And Andy, another brother, has a Dodge Ram. I said, I don't need to know anything else. I'm getting a Dodge Ram.
Mm-hmm.
So I called Andy, who buys trucks every freaking 3 months. And I
seriously, every time I see him, it's every.
I said, Avery said y'all both have a Dodge Ram and y'all like it. Yeah. Where should I go to get it from? He said, go to Winsboro Dodge, Winsboro Dodge. I said, great. He goes, I'm at this point.
So the podcast.
He said, I'm going to send you the lady I dealt with information. So great. I text her, said, hey, I'm Olivia, Andy. This is what I saw you had this on your website. Do you have anything else? Great. And then again, she tried to call a couple times because she was doing her job.
Yeah.
But I knew what I wanted. And so, but with that said, she was asking the correct questions. Now, if she would have done what some agents do, or some people that don't know,
mm-hmm.
and would have said, well, you have to meet with me or, jump on a call with me or whatever, she could have lost me.
Mm-hmm.
But she read the room. She asked the questions she needed to ask. And I do think the time that we jumped on a call together is she said, hey, there's a couple of things. Could we jump on a call together? It wasn't, you have to, it wasn't.
Yeah.
And so I did. And so I'm a huge fan of, texting. And I agree with you where depending on the conversation, you got to get them face to face.
The text message I will send you, unless you're my friend, is, hey, I just tried to reach out. I left a voicemail. I also wanted to shoot you a text. When's a great time for us to connect?
That's right.
Yeah.
And so what, even
I'm not giving in. I am not texting you.
Well, yeah, it depends. Again, she got me on the phone with what she needed to get with you on the phone for, right?
Yeah.
Now the other piece of that is, with say a buyer consultation, let's say that somebody, because I think sometimes we tend to think it's got to be at the office. It's got to be. And I'm a big fan of the office because for me, it's the control, like it's the way my brain works.
Yeah.
With that said, and I know you're not distracted and things like that. With that said, let's say that I'm getting a feel from you because I've done it so often that getting you to the office is going to put you on your back foot. It's going to make you kind of resent, right? That's where I'm going to go. I'm going to pivot to maybe it's a phone consultation or maybe it's a Zoom, a Zoom. And so that's where you have to be fluid. And I think that's what you mean by meeting them where they are. You have to be really good at, I'm going to only meet them where they are. That's not where I want them to be.
Mm-hmm.
1 out of 50 times. Because I'm good at happy this.
I'm just flexible. I'm like a gymnast on this thing. All right.
or I'm just better at you at getting them to say yes to me.
Well, no, it's
So
like,
yeah, and I'm just but it's
I'm path of least resistance for them. And so Olivia, if all right, so let's script and role play twice. One time I want you to be someone who has bought houses, and another time I want you to be someone who's absolutely lost.
Yeah.
Okay. So ring ring.
This lady
Hey, Olivia, is Harrison Lily. How are you today?
doing good.
Awesome, awesome. Hey, I saw you were looking at that house at 123 Main Street, and you wanted to go see it today at 2:00. Just out of curiosity, is this going to be your first house to buy, or have you lived in a few homes?
This is gonna be my first time.
First house to buy. Okay. Are you familiar with the process and everything that goes into buying a house?
I'm really not. I mean, I keep looking online and stuff, but I don't really know.
Okay, so cut here. This is where I'm going for a consultation. You don't know anything. You need help. You're lost. We need people to understand where they're at, where they were, and where they're going. I kind of did that out of order, right? Where they were, where they're at, where they're going. People need a 360 view in order to feel comfortable inside the transaction, to make it feel like they're hitting their goals and that you care about what they care about. However, let's flip that script.
Okay.
Olivia, you're now an experienced home buyer. You bought 2 or 3 houses in the last few years.
Yeah. Now, Harrison, this will be what I buy and sell quite a bit. I've got some investment properties as well. But yeah, this will be like the third house I bought like in the last 2 years.
Yeah, so super familiar with the process.
Absolutely.
I gotcha. And you wanted to see 123 Main Street, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. What time did you want to see that?
At 3.
At 3. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get that booked with the seller. I will meet you there. I'm going to show up just a few minutes early, just because have you heard of the NAR lawsuit versus DOJ that happened in August 17th of last year?
Yeah, I mean, I know that but now like they make people sign things.
Yeah.
Like
Look, we're not going to get crazy with it, right? It just states that, look, I have the right to show you houses. I have the right to represent you. You can read the whole document if you want. It tells you what I have to do for you, what you owe me. And then it also says what I'm allowed to be paid. And of course, I'll walk you through all that if you're curious, but basically not a whole lot's changed. So anyway, I'll see you at 3:00, and I'll be there just a few minutes early. If you want to show up there just so we can sign up before I get you in the door, that'd be okay?
that'd be sure.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I'm not pushing there, and then I'm going to ask qualifying questions in the house at that point.
Right. Well, so this is the difference is I'm not going to say it is something you just said.
Why's that?
Because I don't want to have that conversation.
I just gave my 3-minute, like that's my list. That's my buyer presentation at that point for a educated buyer.
Well, this is what I've discovered is a lot of times educated buyers doesn't mean an educated buyer.
Well, so,
they may or may not. Now, it may or may not. So I said, no, you're going to ask the qualifying
does that matter if they think they're an educated buyer?
Well,
if they think they're an educated buyer, then I'm going to argue that it doesn't make a fuck what we think at that point.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
That's why there's certain questions that I might ask so they understand they may not be as educated as they think they are. Or I'm going to find out if they really are educated, what that means. Now, I'm not going to do it on the phone because I think that is the other thing that I think people, we always set the appointment. So let's say that same.
Oh, I am setting an appointment, no matter what that appointment is. Is it a consultation, a showing, a coffee? Fuck, I'll meet you at church. I don't care. Yeah.
That's the whole point, is to get in front. So 100%, I'm right there.
As Brian Bindley says, I just need to get belly to belly with people.
That's my favorite. There's a lady that says that it's a. I don't love the saying, but I think it's hilarious. Belly to belly, toes to toes.
Brian said that to me like 3 or 4 years ago, because he said, if I can just get belly to belly and present, I'll win.
That's right.
And he has a huge track record.
Yeah, and I feel the same. Now, this is the reason why I say, okay, so we're going to meet at 3. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to see you at 3.
So you're just are you just gonna ambush him with the buyer agency as soon as he walks in the door?
No.
Or if we can't walk in the door,
let me finish.
It says they walk into the church and they can't get in the house.
So well, you could do this 2 different ways. So okay, awesome. So we're gonna meet you there. So we got the appointment at 3:00 to go to show you the house. We typically to look at that size of a house, it's going to take us anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. Now, if you walk in and you hate it, it could take us 5. That work for your schedule. Great. And then, of course, what I'm saying now is, do you want me to pull other things that kind of match that house just to make sure if there's nothing else you want to look at?
Oh, so I don't ask, or you bring it. Yeah.
And when I ask, because I'm kind of demonstrating something there. And that's where it's.
So for me, that kind of showing up as a surprise is, I've already paid attention to what I heard when we talked. I've already looked at this house. I went and found other ones in similar price points. I want you to see that I am a proactive consultant, not a door opener.
Well, and this is and this is where it's one of those 6. this is one of those that either one can work based on behavioral style and things, because I want to set it up on the phone like this to make sure if they talk to another agent between now and me meeting them or whatever, that I stand out in their mind because I've asked certain questions, because we know that the person, like, the person that does the most the talking feels the best about the conversation. So I want to ask them to let them talk.
Correct. And I would, if I was having a full blown conversation with somebody, as I'm setting this appointment, any other houses you're interested in seeing today, because I do want to clarify, I can show you anything.
Yeah.
But even if they say, no, I just want to see this one,
Well,
I still bring a backup file.
1,000%. Right?
Like, if you have to check your email, like, I've already sent you 5 that I thought were similar. Just want to make sure you hadn't sent them on the market.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now the other, so then I'm going to say now, and then I'm going to say now, while we're there, since this is going to be the first time you and I are meeting, we're going to take a couple minutes and I'm just going to go through the market as is right now, because I know you're very familiar with the process about a house. So I'm going to take a couple minutes and just tell you what's happening in the market while we're there, or again, or I might go back to, can we meet at my office and go? But either way, because I'm okay doing it on this truck, so I still tell them that we're going to go over some stuff.
Yep.
I don't go into what we're going to go over because I don't want to, it's for me, I'm not creating a barrier.
Yeah.
Now, when we get there, because on that form, there's multiple things that they can agree to.
We show that form.
I can show them the house, right? Mm-hmm. But then that gives me the opportunity. Okay, hey, so we said XYZ. You mentioned this. I've got your spouse here or your partner here. Can you? Are there any things that would differ a lot? It's very short, quick, whatever. And then, okay, awesome. Now I am going to have you sign this form. Anytime you work with any agent, you have to sign this saying that you understand that we are that I'm an agent and that I owe fiduciary loyalty. We go over the A's. This is not, my newies. You're signing this, not that you agree to work with me or not. You're just signing this saying that I showed you this piece of paper. Great. And they sign it. Now I've got an emotion fine. Then I'm going to go, now this next piece of paper shows how, what I was supposed to bring to the table, what you bring to the table, and this allows me to represent you. Now, I could just represent you on this house. I could represent you.
Yeah, we can do exclusive, buy exclusive.
And so I go.
With investors, I just go ahead and click non-exclusive. Yeah. With clients, I'm clicking exclusive.
That's right. And so, and I'm setting that conversation up so that they will choose exclusive. They will, now they sign it now and move forward.
Yeah.
So ultimately what I'm saying, and I think what both of us are saying, is know what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, and then as you say it to people, are you getting the result that you desire? Yeah. If you are, keep doing it.
Yeah.
But if you're not, then you want to switch up.
You'll watch this podcast and switch your behavior.
That's right, because what might work for him may not be the same thing that works for me, and vice versa. Or
the message, don't do the same thing.
That's right. Yeah. Or it might. Let's say that you are having the success that you'd like to have, but it's physically draining you. So you might go, okay, what can I take from this, and what can I take from this, so that I can get the result that I want, but it doesn't drain me.
Yeah.
Because that's what when I meet with people with consultations, listing and buyers, or even now we're talking about coaching. What I know is if I can set it up a certain way and everybody's on the same page, I don't have anxiety through the rest of the thing. Before, when I wasn't doing that, I always felt like I was one step behind, whether that person did or not. It just ate my energy up. So I think that's the big piece, is whether you do it Harrison's way, Olivia's way, your way, doesn't matter. Do you know what you're going to say, when you're going to say it, how you're going to say it, and are you so adept at that you can dance in the conversation versus have to say this?
No, because a good salesperson can pivot, turn. So the same thing as pivot, right? Sprint, stop, turn, sprint, stop. They can tango.
The reason we practice so much is so that we practice, and then when we're on the field, we can just play.
That's right.
And that means that it's not about being perfect. It's it's not perfection is our enemy. We don't
know.
But I don't want to think about it, because now I can think about what he's saying. If I already know everything and anything that I can say, I can now listen when Harrison says something, I can hear behind what he said to the fear or to the whatever. I can address it. We can deal with it. And you can only get, that's the art of the conversation. You can only use the art if you know the science.
Yeah.
So practice. And then the art.
Just like you said earlier, we still mess up. No one is ever going to be perfect at communication. The best speaker in the world is not perfect at communication. I'll give you a great example. felt kind of bad. So we had a closing this week, and it was a shit show. Not we didn't do anything wrong. We advised, we did what we were supposed to do. We loaned them money to like I went out and shopped out bids with my labor crews. I gave them cheap non-contractor pricing. I paid for all their stuff in advance and helped them through it because there was a lack of money there, but they live in an area that's not super popular. Their house had a lot of deferred maintenance and wasn't updated. It was a hard sell, very hard sell. And it was in an area in which houses, the average day on market in the area, if the house sells, which about half houses don't sell, was 188 days. So we were at, I think we were quite literally at like 180 days it sold. And so anyway, one of the agents goes, I wasn't available to go to the closing. And then there was a health situation in there, and the agent walks in and he's like, yeah, sorry, Harrison couldn't be here. He's like, I'm really glad Harrison's not here. And I was like, I'm hearing this story third hand. And I'm like, what? I honestly thought we had gone above and beyond for these people. I thought, and this is a personal opinion, most agents can't loan you $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. Most agents can't get that pricing. Even most agents who do have the money to loan that money to people won't loan it because they're just not comfortable with loaning money. And it is my belief that had I not had hard conversations, they would still be in that house, which would have caused a very big financial problem in their lives. They did have a financial problem. And so they had to get out. I didn't cause their financial problem. I'm not even gonna say they caused it. There's some health issues and stuff like that. It's just very unfortunate, and God bless them, even though they're upset with me. I really do wish the best for them. But yeah, they were just like, yeah, Harrison did this and he said this. And if I hear him say, he sold 2,000 houses one more time. And I was like, oh my gosh, they took everything I said wrong. Cause you can say all the right things and someone hear it or see it through a different color glasses. Right. And so Olivia, this is what actually happened. So they were super high priced. They didn't do any of the deferred maintenance that I asked them to do prior to going on market. And I was like, guys, this is going to be an uphill battle, but I'm willing to fight with you. I'm willing to do whatever. So after the first 4 months that they're listed, they're like, okay, we will now want to do the deferred maintenance. I'm like, well, we've already blown our shot on the market. Now we're old inventory. So now we're going to have to not only spend money, but we also need to do a price reduction. Oh, you would have thought that I killed somebody. But, anyway, so we were in a conversation, and I said, guys, I want you to know that I'm not saying this from a place of haughtiness or to be braggadocious. I want you to know that this is coming from a place of experience. I have represented almost 2,000 home sales in my career. And it is my experience out of that experience that if we do this, we get this. But if we will pivot and we'll do this, we will have better success. I'm just telling you that from a place of experience. And I said it with that tonality, like hair, empathy, offering. He told me it was a financial need. I said, cool, how much money do you need? I'll write the check right now. You guys have equity in your house. I will write the check. I'll recoup it on closing, no markup. And I thought that I was coming from a place of contribution, a place of experience. I wanted them to know that the advice I was giving them was not coming from a place of a desperation for a commission check, because I don't need your commission check.
Right.
What I do need is for you to be successful. And all he heard, I sold 2,000 houses. And I was so upset. I still am upset, obviously.
Yeah.
And so communication it's a skill that you sharpen and you hone, and it doesn't always turn out how you hope.
So now in hindsight,
what would
coaching moment.
Okay, go ahead. I'm open to it.
Knowing now what it is, what would you do different?
In that moment, I thought that I done the best thing that I could.
Right, but now in hindsight,
I am honestly, I'm open. I am open to constructive criticism here.
So this is in moments like that. So often we all go to knowledge. Mm-hmm. This wasn't a knowledge thing for them in that moment. It was a heart thing. Mm-hmm. And you were attempting to go to the heart thing. Mm-hmm. And again, hindsight and all that.
And I feel like I hit on all of it.
Because it was about you. I had this experience, my experience to say this. Mm-hmm. So we're going to role play. You say what they say. And I'm going
to about the Chuck Roberts, the shed man.
Ha ha.
Go ahead.
What is, okay. So Dad, you want me to do it at the beginning or the 4 months in?
Wherever you want to start, I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I want to learn a lesson here. So teach me.
So in order for us to get the house sold, mm-hmm. you told me these things were important to you. Is that still the case?
Yes.
Okay. In order to get the house sold, and I'm going to just use your name instead there. So, Harrison, you're in a spot that probably doesn't feel good right now, does it?
No, it sucks. Like we don't have enough money that we even know that we're going to be able to eat this week. Yeah.
Dude, I hate that for him. It sucks.
Yeah. I'm being so much nicer to you than they were to me, but
No.
they didn't give me all this information up front. I had to guess as time went on that there was something going on. So I'm being nicer to you.
No.
They didn't give me all the information.
So no, I love this. So then let's go back to the conversation where there's something missing, but they haven't given you information.
Yeah, I knew there was a stressor there.
Yeah.
And they would not be transparent with me on the stressor.
Okay. So let's do there, because that actually is probably the opportunity, because if you could get to that stressor sooner, you may have been able to have.
So I asked questions. I did not. So there's one specific thing that I did not know that they would not share with me. I knew that money was an issue, so I only spoke about money. What I did not know is that one of the couple's health had rapidly declined, and they had been a survivor of an illness. I'm trying to be as ambiguous as possible, obviously. And I did not know that the illness was full blown back and in complete relapse, and that the health is dwindling, and I do not know that that's going well today. So I was not privy to that until the very, which I have a feeling is where all this sparks is. That the end result is that he's not angry. No. That person's not angry at me. They're angry at the situation, and I am now just the person that is getting aimed at.
Well, not only that, they might not be mad at you per se. It's just like when you're frustrated, it's all because we've all done that at some point, but we're just like, oh my God, blah, blah. And that person later, you're like, well, they really didn't do nothing. It was just, it's frustrating, right? So this may be where we go back to
I probably should have said, is there anything else other than money that is being a stressor in your life right now? I didn't ask that question specifically, but also I had no, like the last time I had seen them, everybody was fine.
That's where we go.
They just told me it's retirement, downsizing, and money. That's the only thing that's
always ask. So
I think that the listing appointment.
So this is sometimes something else.
6 months later that changes.
Yes. Well, it is because are you checking in with that conversation? So like when you hear frustration, when you hear, hey, I'm sensing a lot of frustration. I know the house isn't sold. I know that's frustrating.
Yeah.
What is there anything else going on right now that in your world?
Yeah.
So because things do change.
Yeah.
So I think that might be the thing is because that's the other thing is sometimes we hear that there is something that we can't, but we don't know how to ask the question. So sometimes you just have to call it out. So for instance, and sometimes I'll use this even if it's not there, but I'm like, because we talked about this in autistic, I think I'm self-diagnosed autistic was a little bit, and ADHD. So sometimes I will 100% completely miss stuff. So I know part of what I do is, and that may be part of what you do because you're running, you're gunning, and you're like, it might be, hey, I might be completely wrong in this, but the energy seems to have shifted. Is there something going on?
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a great statement.
And so how do you?
I may be completely wrong. You're basically saying, hey, if I'm wrong, that's on me.
That's
I'm completely willing to accept blame if I'm off base.
I'm like way off base.
Yeah,
because sometimes I've literally
energy shifted. What's wrong?
Yeah, because am I missing something? Because a lot of times, sometimes people will say, oh, no, I was just saying about something else, but nothing, we're good. And then other times people will say what it is. Yeah. Sometimes people go, no. And then they come back later, they go, you asked the question, this is it. So I think is making sure that you're asking enough questions and we talked about this before, sometimes because you are so experienced, you're like, this is what we need to happen.
So I have noticed that, so the longer I've been in this business, and I've noticed it with other realtors who've been in the business a long time, you go, why do I think that they're better at their job 5 years ago than they are today? I actually said that about another realtor the other day. I was like, I used to really enjoy working with that guy, and he just seems kind of jaded and kind of an asshole today. He's absolutely, I want to see his name run across contracts. I'm like, I'd rather, if I had an option, I wouldn't work with that person. And like, I go, am I the same way sometimes? Because we find ourselves so busy and in such a place of in our head mastery that we become too good for the things that got us where we were great in the first place.
We're not banning curiosity because it's the same. We are all, this is a human experience. It is unique to me, right? Mine is unique to me. Yours is unique to me. So even though you may have gone through something I've gone through, and so you want to just solve the problem.
Yep. It's very quick to do.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I already know what you're going through. Let me fix it. I don't really want to talk about it anymore. Let's go, because that's a waste of my time. And then
and so we're doing that. So we've got to stay in curiosity.
Yeah.
Because even though it's maybe the same experience. It is unique to me.
Yeah.
And so I think so maybe because you've been in this so long, how do you make sure that you are coming at each property, each person as if not it's your first time, but as it is their first
Embarrassing, I
time.
didn't come to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm seeing my sins here in this. There's a client that I have, and he's absolutely the biggest pain in my ass out of my entire client list. And I told him this the other day. I said, "Hey, thank you." And he said, "What?" And I was like, um, you're making me a better realtor because the things that I used to do to be successful, you demand those things of me instead of going, well, Harrison's number one. And so I just trust that Harrison's doing what he's supposed to do. He literally holds me accountable to every single thing because he knows how the job should be done. He would be I don't know if he'd be a good realtor because him working with people on a permanent basis probably wouldn't work out real well, but he intellectually would school everyone in the board, in my opinion. He's super smart and probably one of the most successful real estate people in the area. I'm very fortunate to have them as clients. And through how tough he is, somebody
Iron sharpens iron.
yeah, somebody told me that they're like, how do you deal with that? And I was like, honestly, at first, really hard because my ego was like, dude, I'm Harrison. Let me be Harrison. And then I was like, this dude's calling me out because I got lax and he is training me to be the better realtor that I have been in the past.
And this is the interesting thing. I learned the most. I'm the best with my clients that I'm great with because of the clients that I didn't mesh with, because of the ones because
It makes you so thankful too, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, and it's a different way of looking at it. Cause like, let's say, cause I can look at like a client that we didn't mesh, we weren't able to grow their business. And I can say, well, it's cause they didn't do this and they didn't do this. And I told them, well, that's all me, right?
Yeah.
If I can look at
I feel the same way as a realtor though,
Yeah.
is whenever I tell people like, hey, we list your house for this, we're going to do these things. Here's the prep plan and boom, let's go. And then they go, no. And then they go, why hasn't my house sold? And I said, well, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not your realtor. I'm just your marketing manager because you were completely out of advisement and now I'm irritated.
Now
I have a house like that right now.
because now it's you and me, right? So instead, I want to look at those pieces and go, okay, when we discussed X, when that person didn't do what we discussed or what they agreed to do, or they had priced the house where in that moment, how did I show up? What did I fail to communicate so that they would come to a different solution or a different way of being? So
I mean, you and I have largely sat under a lot of the same education. We both have big educational values to us, and we're always in coaching, always in mentorship, and always open to new and better and all that. But the same conversations that I have that have gotten me where I'm at are the same conversations I've been having for years.
Well, but it's very possible. It is the same, and they work with some people. What you're not doing is stepping back and going, the ones that are not working with, is it a behavioral situation? Is it a situation?
It's largely people who are overeducated. And because they are intellectually smart, they go do 3 hours worth of research on Zillow and they become their own advisor.
Oh, well, so this is where you need to now work on is somebody that already thinks they're their own advisor. What questions are you asking for them to transform from Zillow said to Harrison said?
I mean, I know what I want to answer that question with.
Yeah.
It's not the right answer, but I know how I want to answer.
That's great, because this is the cool part. If you could solve this, and this is where coaching comes in, if you could solve that part of your business, what would that do to your job satisfaction? What would that do to your financial pocketbook?
Oh yeah, no doubt. Like even as great as our business is, like, could it be better? Like, what if instead of going to 10 appointments and getting 7, you got 8 or 9?
And the ones that you did
so
get,
it's a whole lot more money.
And the ones that did what you said. You
get better reviews, more referrals, happier clients, bigger business, better reputation.
Okay. So then from that perspective, your homework now becomes, you know who you have the challenges with. What are you doing to learn how to better have conversations with those people?
I'll work on my left hook.
Yeah. And you'll the same results, huh?
Yeah.
So let's say that you are I'm gonna role play this with you. You're the person that's really knowledgeable.
Got it.
And okay, so Harrison, I'm here today because I've already got the feeling that you feel like you're really knowledgeable, right?
Yeah, I've got an appraisal. I don't agree with appraisal based on my own analysis. And so I have an idea where I want to be priced, but I'd like for you to tell me, where you want to be.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, fair enough.
Yeah. And by the way, no matter what you tell me, we're still going to go with everything I wanted to.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I completely get it. Right. In the end, your goal is you want a certain price for your house. Now, that certain price, is it because you have a goal of how much money you want to put in your pocket in savings, or is that to do with the next house you're buying? Tell me a little about that.
It's the amount of money I want.
Okay.
Yeah.
But just, can I buy a vowel here, Harrison?
I'm trying to stay ambiguous because I still have clients, Olivia, and I would like to keep clients.
I want you to answer it from your place. You don't.
Okay. Just make a model scenario.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how, because I know what the specific answer is, and
Well, give me a specific answer. This is probably not the same person.
Cut podcast.
We'll bleep it
I
out.
know, and I know they watch.
Okay, so we'll bleep it out. So tell me.
Huh?
So bleep it out.
Dude, we're gonna ruin all my. Oh my God, Olivia, you're killing me. We're gonna have to do this off camera. Yeah. Yeah. It's the amount of money I want. There's an emotional attachment to it.
Okay. You know what? I completely get that. So you're very much like me. Like that's very important to you. I completely understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a magic number. If I don't hit it, we're just gonna sit.
Okay. Awesome. Hey, look, that there's power in being able to sit. Because now you get to be in charge of what you do. So let me ask you, if you don't sell, how long will you?
Everything's paid for. There's no pay for me.
Okay. So everything's paid for. So you would just stay here. Is there, so I guess, Harrison, I'm kind of, the market being the way that the market is, like, why wouldn't you just stay?
So it's so you're making me get farther. I was gonna say it's a vacant house.
Okay. So we'll take this offline, but let me ask you this, whether or not you like the particular questions I'm asking, how often do you, when they say that and they are very guarded, or are you letting it stop there because it's uncomfortable? Or are you asking a different questions?
No, it's not. So it's not that I'm uncomfortable having a conversation. It's that in the tonality. So we're actually we're cut on role play right now. But in the tonality, you can tell when someone's built a brick wall.
Oh, but yes. Okay. So then are you calling out the brick wall?
The brick wall is built 100%.
Well, so that's what I'm talking about. Is
to the point where they will call a co-agent or a transaction coordinator. They don't even want to call me because I had tried to break the brick wall multiple times.
So this is
with data, with numbers, with statistics.
Because
I don't know why the fuck people don't pay attention to data.
You do not.
This is a data-driven business, not an emotional-driven business.
Bullshit.
No, the only reason it's emotional is because people are involved.
And guess what? People are involved.
But if they just knew what I knew.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
I literally, I'm a professional investor. I do not emotionally invest.
You know, until I know how much you care.
I understand.
So what have we just discovered?
People are jerks.
Or they're outside being jerks.
Oh.
So this is what's happening is you sits that brick wall, and you don't have right now. You don't have the tools to get through that brick wall.
So hold up. So you're not hearing everything. So look, I've come with empathy. I've come with value. I've asked the question.
Are you getting the solution that you desire?
No.
Then there's now. Are you
there is a certain behavioral style. It's going to be your engineers. It's going to be your SCs. That's who it's going to be.
That's right.
And it is. They have ran their own numbers. They have done their own things. And they just go, nope.
Yes.
And I want to punch those people in the face.
So do you see where the problem is?
I have an anger issue.
Well, because look, they're the opposite behavioral style as you.
Yeah.
So you already have a little bit of a challenge in the way
they are polar opposites.
That's right.
Correct.
So that's we can't look at them and say it's them.
Yeah.
We got to look at you. They already got they're already logicked out.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you have to slow down with those people and then ask better questions.
Can I logically ask why someone wants to hire a realtor and pay them a lot of money?
Yes.
If they're not going to listen to anything the realtor has to say.
Yes.
At that point, go hire a fucking marketing.
That's what I'm saying. Quit being afraid to ask that question. So it is 100% okay. Now, again.
Oh, I have asked. I have absolutely asked.
And then you stopped. Do you stop?
No, I've said it like this. So, Olivia, May I ask, why do you want to hire a realtor when you've done all your own research, you're making your own decisions, you are the one absolutely captaining the ship. We are completely outside of everything we've advised, and we haven't seen success, in my opinion, because we've done everything out of customary in our market.
Okay, so first off, that's an extremely long question.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
It was probably a little accusatory too. I don't
Yeah.
actually say that.
So this is so what you're discovering, right? What are you discovering?
Well, I said I don't know that I would actually say that to somebody.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this is script and role play. We role play for a reason
Yeah.
because we got to get the bad shit out sometimes.
Right.
Like, I'm not perfect. We discovered that in the last one.
So this is
Yeah.
so it's go study the questions that you don't normally ask. So there's a book called The Questions Behind the Question. There's a
Mike Roberts told me to go read that book.
Yeah.
The Idea Investor.
yeah, there is a book Coactive Coaching, and there's another book I cannot think of right now, but I'll share it with you that I'm going to ask the question. Coactive Coaching.
Okay.
But there's one about there's another one that I'm actually going to recommend, and basically you're getting to so again, let's role play this. You don't have to use I want you to just be guarded. Okay.
Oh, wait, who, am I the agent or am I the client?
No, I'm gonna be the agent. You're me the client. I just want you to be guarded.
Okay, what's our topic? What do we?
Pricing. We're talking about pricing,
Okay.
and you want to price different than what I believe will sell in the market.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So, Harrison, we looked at the numbers. We looked at what sold, and we looked at our competition on the market.
Mhm.
And so, based on this, the market price is somewhere between here and there.
Okay.
So what is your
what is your recommended list price?
Well, the market is telling us. First, if you notice that I didn't say mine, I said the market is telling us that it needs to be somewhere between here and there.
You're not giving me numbers there.
Oh, this number, that number, or that number.
Okay, so give me your low range and high range.
Okay, so we could start at 200.
Okay.
We can be at 205 or 215.
Okay. So
that's going to make the based on what you told me, if we choose one of those numbers, we should be able to sell your house in the time frame that you're looking to be in. And you saw what our competition was. You saw what sold. Based on that, where do you want to go?
You know, Olivia, I've read my own numbers, and we've seen the appraisal and we've seen your numbers, and I'm glad your numbers line up with the appraisal and all that. But I'm really thinking more like 230 to 240.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So help me with that. So 230 to 240. What numbers did you pull that I don't have? Like, because if you can get 240, heck, let's go get you 240. What am I missing?
I just think the house is worth more than y'all's analysis based on my own research. Okay.
What research?
I clicked around on Zillow and I just done my own research.
Okay.
And I think my properties are nicer than the ones that we looked at.
We went through each one and you pointed out this one had granite and you don't, and this one had now you are better than this one.
We're taking care of it. I did a lot of those repairs, and so I know about the workmanship that has happened in there. Whereas I feel like they probably took the cheaper route.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, have you been in any of these houses?
No, just based on pictures, and I had some friends that live in the neighborhood. Yeah.
Okay. So whenever you so you're at 230.
That's kind of my minimum.
That's your minimum. No.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we priced it 230 and we don't get any offers, what do you want to do?
I'm gonna stick it out for a while.
What's a while?
I'm in no real hurry. I mean, obviously I'd like to get it moved and I'd like to make as much as possible, but there's no real pressure to sell quickly.
Okay. Well, the cool part is you and I are on the same page. I'm right there with you. My job is to get the most money for your house that the market will bear. So we're right there on the same page.
Yeah.
Now, when you say that you're not in any hurry, what does that mean to you?
Just kind of when it happens, it'll happen.
Okay. So what? 3 months, 6 months, a year?
Yeah. I mean, 6 months plus. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So, are you familiar with what happens when a house stays on the market for a long time? With how buyers perceive it?
I mean, yeah, I get that, and we're just not in a position that we have to. So if somebody comes in with lower offers, like we're just not interested. We'll send them a counter, but we're not interested.
Gotcha. So where are you going to go when this one sells?
I'm just going to put the money into an account.
Okay.
So,
okay. An account, and then where are you going to be living then?
We already have a house in BFE somewhere.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And do you any thoughts about renting this or anything else?
Nah, we're just going to sell it whenever it sells.
Whenever it sells. Okay. So, Harrison, I'd love to help you sell this house. My job is to make sure that you know everything that's going on, and then you get to make the decision ultimately, right? If I were to take your house at 230, there's going to be a couple things that's going to happen. Number one, I'm setting you up to fail. So what I mean by that is you're not in a hurry. The market, the way the market's set up is the longer your house is on the market, the more people start to think there's something wrong with it. And when they start to think something's wrong with it, it's really hard for us to combat, because what we know is you're just not in a hurry. But what the market is telling them is 120 days, 180 days in the market, and nobody else wanted this house. And people don't want things that other people have. So if you're really not in a hurry, we actually should be having a different conversation about what you can do to maximize this and wait until you are ready to sell, or the market takes an upswing, which could be 3 or 4 years, but if you're not in a hurry, maybe 7. That might be your best bet. How come you're not going that direction?
Oh, I just want to market. I do want to sell, but I just want to sell at that price.
Okay. And it's not going to sell at that price.
So I can cut role play real quick. All right. So I did have that conversation. Chasing the market. People, they don't ask if your house is overpriced. They ask what's wrong with your house. Attractive inventory. It's attractive at the beginning. It's not attractive 6 months later. People start to go, okay, well, it's been on the market. And I know a ton of people who do this, and I'm sure you've represented clients. And they go, I'd like to start looking at houses that have been on the market for 3 or 4 months. They don't want to be in a multiple offer situation. They want their closing costs paid today. They don't want their buyer's agent paid. They want to also get a great deal perceivably on the house. And so they come in with low balls, and and then they go beat you up on inspections right afterwards. That is typically, and I would say what do you think? It's an overwhelmingly large I'd say 80 to 90% of houses that sell on the market over customary days on market will be subject to getting smoked. I had all those conversations. I would also say that you were not going to get that listing. That listing is going to go to somebody else.
Well, so this is my question.
Yeah.
Is my job to get the listing, just to have a listing, or get the listing, or to make a sale?
So I used to.
Now, hold on. Let me back
up. If people didn't fit inside my frame, I used to go, hey, I don't think we're going to be a great partner.
Here, two things. There is a difference between 215 and 230. I'm not going to be a hard butt there, right? Because
that's a big difference.
No, I'm giving.
That's a big difference in that price range. Now, if you're at 500 and you're at 515,
okay.
I can't. I'm not God. I can't say.
Let's say 200 to 205, or
Oh yeah. No, I recommend 200. Somebody goes, look, I'd really like to be at 205, but fine, let's get it.
But if it's a large enough difference, and they're not. Now, this is the other piece, because I think what you're still not hearing is.
You did the same thing I did, by the way. That is exactly how our conversation went, except for I didn't build any wall on your house ain't gonna sell. I did not build that wall. I said, hey, look, my job is to give you all of the data so you can make educated decisions, and then you get to make the final decision of what I do here today.
Well, and so there now, and for time, I kind of cut it off a little bit. Yeah. We would have went on a lot farther with
that could be an hour-long conversation.
That's right.
Yeah.
But now the reason that I do eventually cut it off is there is a time point where, and when I say I cut it off, I might still walk out of a listing sign and taking that listing, but there is a time where you have to do a takeaway. And so that might be the situation of, okay, now it's time to do the takeaway, because I know you enough and I've coached with you enough that I know, and this one will take us offline after, you're not asking enough questions. You go into teaching and telling.
I am guilty of that. I will say that I am extremely.
So as we flip it, and you're
asking my clients just want me to do that. By the way,
no,
there's a large portion of our clients, and then I'm going to preface this, and you guys can hear it however the fuck you want. I'm not saying this to be braggadocious. I'm not saying this to be anything. I'm not saying this out of humility. Outside of humility, and there are a large group of clients. Like I had one this week who called. She actually called my office, and she said, "Hey, is Harrison there?" And they said, "No, he's out of office. How can we help?" She goes, "Well, I need to list my house." They said, "Perfect. We'll have one of our listing agents give you a call and set up an appointment today." And she said, "No one but Harrison's calling me. Please have him call me." And I was like, "That's one of my past clients. Freak out for her. She's amazing." And so when I called, she goes, "I just need you to come over here and tell me exactly what to do. We're going to do everything you want to do. And we're going to get on the market, and we're going to And I showed up to her house. She goes, she's notepad in hand. What do I do?
This is the thing. when I asked if you could master this, would it give you a whole sense of pleasure? The reason why she showed up like that is because she had a connection with you.
I've proven it.
Well, no. Even before you prove something to somebody, they have bought into you.
Yeah.
The challenge is people that are different behavioral style or in different.
Yeah,
You're not setting it up.
Yeah.
You're not setting it up so they buy into you. When we can set it up so they buy into you, it becomes the same thing.
Okay, so I need someone to teach me how to talk to weird people like engineers.
As long as you consider them weird people like engineers, there is a challenge.
Did I segregate myself from
Yes.
that's all in the weird?
Right? Like you're literally saying we're right.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Cozy specters. I don't like you either.
Yeah. No, wait, it's great because look, I had to go through this. Chuck asked me this question because whenever I first got into real estate, I was selling and I would get frustrated with certain people. And he's like, have you ever thought that maybe those are the people that aren't like you? So you are only like this percent of the population. I'm like, yeah.
And what's those 7% of the population is DIs?
Minimal.
Are we the small group?
Small group.
Shit.
Yes.
Damn.
So when you learn how to communicate and identify in the way that they can hear you, so people that say real estate or salespeople or they don't care about us, blah blah. Usually it's the SC type of personality because
so they hate me already.
They do because when you talk, what they hear is selly, whether or not you are selly. Right?
How I talk. If you came to Christmas dinner with me, I would talk the same way.
Yes, and hence there. Now I know that you are a business with a lot of.
I have SC partners.
You do.
Now we make fun of each other every day.
That's right. You talk to them a certain way, and you come at them as they are smart and they bring something else to the table.
Well, they are smart and they do bring something to the table.
And when you start bringing that same thought process,
this is bullshit.
And this is how I know that Harrison just has ha because he got right. When you bring that to them, the conversations will differ. You'll have a different outcome.
Right. Except for I can't make fun of them like I make fun of Alex.
But once you connect with them, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. On that note,
that is the end of it. So we're actually over time because I would say the first half of this started out a little slow, and then the last half, like our emotions and personality started coming. I had a really good time the last decades. Yeah.
So again, if you're not getting the result that you want, you can push back as much as you'd like, but ultimately there is. We call that the wall. The wall of awful. It's not that conversation. It's the thing that happened before the thing that is coming through. And so when we make that adjustment, everything gets easier. And then we can ask what makes it easier and necessary to do. You will stop having some of those frustrations because you changed this piece. So,
so maybe, just maybe I actually made money on this podcast today.
Yes.
We'll see what happens. We'll turn enemies into friends.
That's right. Yeah. When you accept. Right.
Well, thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Let's Go. And we appreciate y'all coming along with this. We hope that this brings value to you. Please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And
feel free, drop. We definitely want this to be a conversation. So drop some comments.
Even though the comments have been mostly meme.
That's okay.
Did you see the last comment? Oh God. He said, you guys have managed to effectively talk for an hour and not say anything at all. Yeah. And so I asked them I commented back. I was like, hey, thank you so much for commenting. Hey, what else do you think we could do?
Yeah.
I mean, you just disagree. People are just haters.
But really, if you're listening to this and you can apply this to anywhere in your life, ask further questions, hey, what about this? What about that? We'd be happy to go back and maybe that becomes a podcast talk. Maybe it's a one-on-one, or maybe it's just a response on via the channel. But definitely we want to hear what your thoughts are about having conversations with people and learning from and going from there. So
absolutely. Guys, we'll see you next week. We love y'all. Have a great day. Let's fucking go.